Hey everybody, Jimmy here. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like this video, give me that thumbs up. So today I want to continue on with some opening range breakdowns. I took two of them today. I want to show you both of them, and I also want to hear how you guys did. So let's jump into things. All right, I've got the chart on TEVA brought up. It's the 15-minute chart. And so both of my trades this morning were 15-minute opening range breakdowns. So I was looking for stocks that were gapping down this morning. And then ultimately, once that first 15-minute candle opened up, I was just looking for stuff that wasn't super whippy, not long wicks, just nice, reasonable candles that were breaking below the pre-market lows. And then once I found one that I was kind of comfortable with, I just went ahead and set up the opening range on that 15-minute candle, and then I was selling the break of that bottom range. So I got some things drawn up here so it might make it a little clearer. But here's what I did this morning on TEVA, or TEVA, however you pronounce it. TEVA was gapping down from yesterday and then had a nice little bit of price action in here. So it actually had some interest in the pre-market. And then what I ended up doing was, once this first 15-minute candle opened up, I marked the high, which was up here at 1310, and I marked the low, which was down here at 1260. And my plan from there was to let the next candle open up. I would place a bracket order 1 penny below this wicks low, and then take it to the short side. So this whole width here was 52 cents. So I made that my stop, and then I was just going to manage the trade and see if I could get to 1-to-1 initially and then go from there. So it went ahead and it broke right here, and you can see I got in at $12.59, which was right about there. And then I just held that until I got down in this area, and I was managing it on the 5-minute chart is where I was sort of managing the ins and outs. So I went ahead, and when this low here got broken again, we had this little pullback and then a further breakdown. I went ahead and added 50 shares to my position. I've been trying to work on take an initial size that's conservative so I can get a little bit of skin in the game, get some movement to the downside, and then once I have that, add a little bit more on so that my 1-to-1 or 1-to-5 is more significant in terms of gains. So if I flip back over to the 15-minute chart, you can see where I had that add, which was right here. And following that add, I went ahead and dumped half my position on this candle at 12.18, and then held just a little bit longer and got another break down and sold my last position of 75 shares at 12.12. So my 1-to-1 was right here at this line, which ended up being 12.07. So it's kind of a funny thing, you know, I unloaded it all, but I didn't even make 1-to-1 on this today. So, you know, this was a larger candle, so it's, I don't know, I maybe need to rethink where to stop myself or what my stop loss should be, just because, you know, that's a big monster range, and to get one time out of it barely happened today. You can see we got the low of 1190, so didn't quite get a full 1-to-1 out of that, but nonetheless profitable. So moving on from here, the other opening range breakdown I took on the 15-minute chart was on ticker X, and that's United States Steel Corp. And same thing, it was gapping down this morning. It had a little bit of price action moving around. We got down below the pre-market lows, and you can see I mapped out the opening range on the 15-minute candle, got the high, the low, and then once that low was broken to the downside, I jumped in at 14.85. I took 142 shares. I got a pullback with a break. Again, I was managing it on the 5-minute chart, but I think you can see I took it at 70. So this pullback had the bottom of this wick at 73, and you can see I added 58 shares at 14.70, which would have been right here. And then we got down to 14.64. I sold half. and then 1461 I sold the other half, and it ultimately went to a low of 1441. This is my 1-to-1 right here, so you can see at 1454 would have been 1-to-1. So again, close my full position before I got to 1-to-1. But the thing is that was interesting is I didn't get 1-to-1 risk to reward, but I got the same amount of profit because of the ad. So that's where I'm starting to see some value. When you have a decent sized stop loss and you're being conservative on your entry, then as you get into things and you start getting pullbacks and moves to the downside, you can add more to your position, which will give you more bang for your buck as you're moving into profit. If I flip over to the 5-minute chart, you can see this thing pushed way down. Then we had this pullback all the way back up here. And then as we started to break down again, that's where I added and took that ad down into these lows down in here. So an interesting day experimenting a little bit with my size of stop and also with risk to reward ratios. That 1-to-1, you know, I'm always concentrating on that and trying to get to 2-to-1 so that I can cover a loss with a win and still have profit. Be able to have, you know, 2 risk units, 1 for every win, and then 1 lost for every loss would leave me with 1 remaining. So, you know, that's kind of the nice thing about 2-to-1 versus 1-to-1. But in this case, it wasn't working. So I think adding to the position size as I get into profit is going to be a really helpful thing moving forward. But again, we'll just see what happens. We'll see if my stops change. Right now, I'm using the full range, the high and the low on the candle, and part of me wonders if maybe I should stop myself at the open of the candle. That would trim a little bit off and make my 1-to-1 a little more successful, but we'll have to see. So if you have any comments on that, let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions or thoughts on how you guys are managing your trades if you're trading in these opening range breakdowns. But anyway, I hope you guys had a great day. Let me know how you did. Let me know if you're red, you're green. If you have questions, leave them below. Appreciate your time. We'll back at it tomorrow. We'll see you then. Thanks.